One of the most interesting and unique characters we may have ever seen throughout professional wrestling history went by the name of Raven, and Raven dominated companies like ECW and joined promotions like TNA back in the early 2000s, but he eventually went to WWF on Raw's War in the early 2000s. But what if he became a star back in that promotion? Well, today we're going to find out what could have happened. We started off at the end of Survivor Series 2001. We're down to the last two in the Survivor Series elimination match, whereas WWF against the Alliance, The Rock lands the rock bottom and puts down Stone Cold's team. And The Rock officially holds all the gold, takes all the gold home with him, scores the win for the WWF. The Rock would go crazy, but the night isn't over yet. Kane, shockingly, would grab The Rock by the throat and hit a choke slam on The Rock. Kane sending a message that he wants to be champion, which is crazy considering he was just on the team that The Rock won for moments ago. But the next night on Raw, Kurt Angle is represented by Mr. McMahon. The Rock is represented by Ric Flair. They both want a different champion, but Kane and Chris Jericho are going to war to find out who can move on to become a potential challenger for the championship down the line in the future. Kane catches Jericho with a choke slam, pins him 1, 2, 3. The Big Red Machine is on fire, no pun intended. As it looks like Kane could be the new number one contender, Raven all of a sudden, out of nowhere with a kendo stick, assaults Kane from behind. Raven, who represents ECW in the Alliance, seems to have snapped, and he takes out frustrations on Kane. Raven goes crazy and unleashes a ruthless assault on the Big Red Machine himself, looking to make an impact here in the World Wrestling Federation. Raven picks up and hits a massive sit-out pile driver on the middle portion of the stage from the exposed steel, and then once again, this time on the upper portion of the stage, hits a DDT, that signature DDT, and then Raven big boots Kane, and Kane takes a nasty fall off the stage onto concrete ground. It's not looking good for the Big Red Machine, and he has just been taken out by one of ECW's originals, who is now fully signed to the World Wrestling Federation. The next week, Raven gloats about how he injured Kane and ended his career, and he's talking when all of a sudden he gets interrupted by someone Kane knows all too well, and that is the Undertaker, the American badass with his motorcycle. It looks like Taker may have some choice words to say to defend his brother, who Raven assaulted the previous week. Undertaker gets into the face of Raven and tells Raven to be careful, because he can make him famous. And speaking of, Raven then attempts to attack the Undertaker, but it would prove to be a big time mistake. Undertaker counters the DDT attempt, takes Raven, turns him inside out with a massive last ride. It looks like Raven may end up being made famous after all, thanks to the Undertaker. As it seems like we have our next feud set up the next week in a number one contenders match for the World Wrestling Federation Championship. Taker takes on Kurt Angle in a contenders match, but then Raven walks out in the middle of it. This grabs the Undertaker's full attention as he's looking to get at Raven, and then Raven turns around, smirks, and goes right after the Undertaker's bike, the motorcycle. This isn't good for the Undertaker. The Undertaker's in disbelief, and so are the fans at ringside. Raven takes the motorcycle, drives up, and drives away with the motorcycle. Raven has just stolen the bike of the Undertaker, and then the Undertaker is not looking, not paying attention, so he gets rolled up by Kurt Angle, and Kurt Angle wins, becoming number one contender. But Taker is looking to get his bike back. He's looking to get his prized possession. He chases Raven to the parking lot. Undertaker gets to the parking lot, but it was a setup all along. Not only did Raven steal his bike, but he assaults the Undertaker from behind in what we found out to be a trap. And then he takes Taker, shoves him right into the window of a car. And the match is set up. It's all going to go down at Vengeance when Raven takes on the Undertaker for the first time ever. And trolling the Undertaker, looking to rage bait him, Raven makes an entrance with the Undertaker's bike that he stole in the prior weeks to this event. Here at Vengeance 2001, Raven looks to make it personal with the Undertaker, and Undertaker definitely seems to believe and take it as being personal. The match is brutal. The Undertaker looking for vengeance for not just Kane, but for himself and for his bike. Undertaker takes the absolute fight to Raven. And Raven and Undertaker go back and forth all match long. Raven, at the climax of the match, gets Taker in the corner and will end up hitting some mounted punches while in the corner, looking to taunt the Undertaker. But Taker stops him in the middle and hits a last ride. But all of a sudden, we would see the debuting CM Punk get on the apron and distract the Undertaker. CM Punk, someone Raven knows very well. Raven takes advantage of the distraction, hits a massive DDT to get a career-defining win over the Undertaker with help from CM Punk. Raven may have indeed been made famous, but with some help from a friend. Meanwhile, in the main event of Vengeance 2001, The Rock takes on Kurt Angle for the Undisputed title. The Rock lands the People's Elbow and puts Kurt Angle away to retain the Undisputed title. Going into the Royal Rumble, the question is, who is The Rock's challenger? Which we are sure to find out. But the next night on Raw, Raven and CM Punk in the ring. Raven introduces the audience to CM Punk. These two would become known as The Gathering. That's the name of this new duo. Raven and CM Punk look to take over, but RVD, the ECW champion in all of this, makes his way to the ring. RVD tries to get through to him, but Raven isn't budging, and they make it known. They make the match official. Raven flips him off and requests an ECW title match. RVD gives it to him, but then he also tries to attack Raven after the middle finger, but Punk with a Pepsi plunge, protecting Raven. Raven's new insurance policy being put to work in good use. And Raven lays out the ECW champion with a massive DDT. The match is set up for next week on Raw. But it is later in the night when Tommy Dreamer, an old friend of Raven, tries to also get through to Raven, telling him he's going too far. But Raven isn't having it still. He takes Tommy Dreamer, smashes him right into the sliding door in the back. It all goes down the next week on Raw's War for the ECW Championship. An ECW type matchup viewed by a World Wrestling Federation audience. For the ECW title, Raven and RVD go back and forth. They destroy each other in the old retro ECW way with weapons and all. They bring in special toys to use. Raven and RVD both fighting each other to be personal, taking personal digs at each other the previous week. All for the ECW Championship. Raven looks for a DDT, but RVD hits a spinning heel kick, goes to the top, looks for the 5-star frog splash, but CM Punk, Raven's new minion, being put to work again. RVD counters and takes out Punk. RVD gets back into the ring, but now another minion, a new member of the WWF roster, a new member of the Gathering. It's Samoa Joe, someone who CM Punk knows all too well. And then off the distraction with a brutal DDT on the chair, Raven picks up the biggest win of his career on the WWF viewership. He becomes the new ECW champion live on WWF TV on Raw's War. Raven has officially taken over. The next week, The Gathering has a new member in Samoa Joe. This new trio being led by Raven, but they get interrupted by The Rock, the undisputed champion. Raven turns around and tells his new minions to leave the ring, says he's got this. He's got The Rock. They both oblige, and then face to face, champion versus champion. The match is made official. It's all going to happen at the Royal Rumble, but The Rock sneaks in a rock bottom. The Rock with a rock bottom takes out the other champion, then runs, and Samoa Joe and CM Punk can't do anything. They're too late to the party. Raven has a message sent by the Great One. It all goes down at the Royal Rumble in 2002. Undisputed title and ECW championship on the line. They lock up, and it's on. It's a brutal fight. The Great One and Raven go head to head, back and forth in this matchup. They climb the top rope. Raven hits a massive superplex on The Rock. The Rock seems to be out of this, and then a bulldog gets hit on the Great One as well. It's signature bulldog, but at the climax of the match, The Rock looks to take the fight to Raven. Raven is taken out with a spine buster. The Rock attempts a people's elbow, but Raven moves out the way. And then at the climax of the match, the ref gets knocked down. The ref gets knocked out, and then Samoa Joe and CM Punk, Raven's minions of the Gathering, looking to take out The Rock while the ref's down, but The Rock counters. The Rock is too quick and agile. He takes out Samoa Joe with a rock bottom. Then Punk tries to attack, but The Rock counters again and would end up hitting a rock bottom on CM Punk. The Rock is on fire, but when he gets into the ring, a shocking turn of events. It's Hollywood Hulk Hogan of the New World Order. He has arrived here in the WWF, and he hits the leg on The Rock. A shocking appearance after the purchase of WCW and ECW. Hogan is here, and the ref is still down. Hogan walks out of there, and the ref gets up, and Raven takes advantage with a massive DDT. Raven becomes a double champion. He is not only the ECW champion, but he's also the Undisputed champion. Later on in the night, a big red return. Kane returns in the Royal Rumble match at number 30. After dominating the year prior, having the most eliminations ever in a Royal Rumble match up to a certain point in time, he's back, and he's in the Rumble match again. He eliminates Austin. Austin and Booker T then go to war on the final two. It's Kane and Jericho, where this started a few months ago with their match on Raw. As Austin and Booker T brawl on the stage, Kane and Jericho brawl in the ring, and Kane eliminates Jericho and is going to the main event of WrestleMania 18. Kane secures a heavyweight championship match, but the next night on Raw, the new double champion Raven would have a get-together with Vince and Ric Flair. They would try to convince Raven to join both of them, but Raven wouldn't have it, and Raven declines both of them. He will be no one's champion. He won't be the champion for either of these two. But the next week, Vince McMahon sends his minion Kurt Angle after Raven to try and get the title back, get the Undisputed title off of him, but Raven escapes the ankle lock and hits a DDT for the massive win to retain both championships. And it's also important to note that during the road to WrestleMania, Samoa Joe and CM Punk would continue their dominance as a new duo as they would battle the tag team champions Billy and Chuck. Samoa Joe hits a muscle buster, and CM Punk hits the Second City Saint Elbow to become the new World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions. The next week, Raven's out there to find out his next number one contender, and the glass shatters. It's Stone Cold Steve Austin, face to face, the face of ECW versus the face of the World Wrestling Federation. And Raven would hit Austin with a taste of his own medicine with the middle finger. He attempts a DDT on the rattlesnake, but Stone Cold's too quick, and then he gives it right back to him with the middle finger. Kick to the gut, massive Stone Cold stunner. And then Austin wouldn't stop there. He takes Raven's body, drags him to the parking lot in the backstage area, hits another stunner, this time on cold hard ground. The message is sent. It'll all go down at No Way Out. World Wrestling Federation and ECW championships on the line. The Texas Rattlesnake versus the leader of the Gathering, Raven, the double champion. And the match is an absolute war. Stone Cold with that brawling style, Raven with that extreme style. It's an interesting matchup, that's for sure. That would have kicked absolute ass in its prime if we actually saw this in real life. But Raven and Austin going to war 1v1 is an interesting set of events. In the climax of the match, Booker T would interfere, distract Stone Cold, and Raven picks up on the distraction with a massive DDT on the Rattlesnake for another career-defining win, but once again retaining the championship due to some help and shenanigans. He hasn't been able to beat anyone clean yet. And Kane, the Royal Rumble winner, makes an appearance. He comes out and he targets Raven because we all know who's next in line. It's the Royal Rumble winner, Kane, and he makes a huge statement to Raven, lays him out with a choke slam. Kane is coming for Raven at WrestleMania. And in the next few weeks remaining on the road to WrestleMania, Raven would orchestrate another attack, this time on the Big Red Machine, on the current number one contender, Royal Rumble winner, with the help of his minions, the tag team champions, CM Punk and Samoa Joe, in a ruthless 3-on-1 assault to hold Kane down. And then Raven hits a massive DDT, spiking the Big Red Machine on the top of his head. He then brings out a casket. He has a casket brought to ringside, and Raven shoves Kane into the casket. It's unbelievable. It's a nasty sight. He locks and traps Kane in that casket. And all of a sudden, Raven does the unthinkable. He sets the casket lights it on fire. This dude is sick and evil. Sick and twisted son of a bitch, truly. He really is. And then in the final weeks leading up to WrestleMania, Samoa Joe and CM Punk would retain their tag team titles against the Dudley Boys. Another interesting and classic win. Or impressive win, I should say. But we finally make it to WrestleMania, where we see 3 big-time matches at WrestleMania. We see Stone Cold take on Booker T in a very personal battle that's been brewing for months. Booker T counters the Stone Cold Stunner, hits a scissors kick, and then lands a massive book and covers the rattlesnake. Booker T gets a career-defining victory, which if it happened in real life would have elevated him even more than it already did in real life. Then we see the main event of the evening. This would have been the actual main event, Rock and Hogan for the first time. But in this turn of events, in this timeline, Hogan drops the leg and pins The Rock 1, 2, 3, turning babyface in the process after the match. He's being cheered too much. But then, the co-main event for the World Wrestling Federation and ECW Championships, the Royal Rumble winner Kane against the double champion Raven. And it's a personal battle, folks. Raven literally set this man on fire. It doesn't get any more personal than that. Kane looks for a chokeslam outside the ring, but Raven counters. It's a massive DDT, taking his skull and taking it into the ground on the outside. But Kane hits a massive flying clothesline. At the climax of the match, we see the minions come out again, the Gathering, CM Punk and Samoa Joe, but they get stopped by none other than the Undertaker, a returning Undertaker. The American Badass is back, and he's here to lend a helping hand to his brother Kane. He runs at the Gathering, looks to take out Samoa Joe with a last ride. Then Punk tries to save him, but it's too late. Taker then takes Punk and hits him with a massive tombstone piledriver on the outside. The Undertaker lends a helping hand to Kane, but back in the ring, we cut back. Raven flips off the Big Red Machine, but Kane counters the DDT attempt. He grabs Raven by the throat and hits a massive chokeslam. He then gets Raven up, and he takes Raven and plants him with a tombstone piledriver, crosses the arms. Kane goes for the pin. Referee counts it. Kane is the new Undisputed and ECW World Heavyweight Champions. He has both championships. Kane does it on the grandest stage of them all, of WrestleMania 18. After the match, it's not over yet though. CM Punk and Samoa Joe join Raven in the ring, when all of a sudden, we would see a shocking turn of events. Samoa Joe and CM Punk assault Raven. They unleash a ruthless assault on who is supposed to be their leader of the Gathering, but CM Punk and Samoa Joe have a change of heart. They take Raven, their leader, and they assault him. They take him out with the Muscle Buster, and then a massive Second City Saint elbow drop. And the Gathering is now just a duo. Samoa Joe and CM Punk turn on Raven. They talk about how Raven just used them for months to win. Then Raven, after WrestleMania, makes an appearance, and Raven challenges them to a tag team match at Backlash. And the mystery partner is none other than Cactus Jack. And Raven names this duo Raven's Nest. It's going to be Raven's Nest versus the Gathering at Backlash 2v2 Hardcore Tornado tag team match for the World Wrestling Federation tag team titles. It's on, baby, and it's a hardcore style matchup. The young up-and-coming stars looking to make an impact up against the veterans. It's the Gathering. It's Raven's Nest. Cactus Jack and Raven show the new breed what being hardcore is all about. But both teams go back and forth. Samoa Joe and CM Punk are not backing down at all. It's 2v2. Texas Tornado rules. You just have to win by pinfall, submission, or knockout. Both teams go back and forth repeatedly. In the climax of the match, CM Punk with a massive sunset flip powerbomb through the flaming table to Cactus Jack. And then, in the closing moments, Cactus Jack and Raven of Raven's Nest would collaborate and hit a massive assisted stump puller piledriver on a steel chair for the massive win. Raven's Nest become the new World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions, and they show the new breed that they still run shit here. But ladies and gentlemen, that's what could have happened if Raven had became a star back in the World Wrestling Federation in 2001. How would you have booked Raven in the Attitude Era? Let me know in the comments.